So today we are going to discuss about few more chapter. We have already started our discussion on the economic survey. Now we will move on to few more chapter and some of the important chapter that are left to discuss. We will discuss it today. So in this process, we will start our discussion with uh, with with another chapter, and we will start our discussion with the chapter Sustainable Development and Climate Change. All right. So I will go on, and we will most of the discussion will be surrounded on around the figures. Various kinds of statistics and other things have been given. We will discuss with the help of diagram. Right. So sustainable development and climate change, usually every year you will see the sustainable development and climate change becomes one of the important aspect of economic survey. In fact, if you look at the policy making at this point of time, without considering the sustainable development or the climate change, the policy is not made today. So in fact, in the policy environment, the climate change and sustainable development have become very critical issues. So therefore, it is right to discuss about the sustainable development goals. It is also important to understand that for the examination point of view, this chapter is very important. Some of the things that you will find in this chapter are related to the environment, but then question can be expected. So the sustainable development goal as a concept, you understand the sustainable development is something in which intergenerational equity is maintained. Means what? The development should be done in such a way where we can ensure the intergenerational equity. We can left the resources for, we should leave the resources for the next generation. That's what the sustainable development. Now, when it comes to the sustainable development goals, so the many countries that have come together and under the auspices of United Nations, and they have decided the sustainable development goal for 2030. Initially, the Millennium Development Goals was set up for 2000. Now, after 2000, the Sustainable Development Goal of 2030 has been there. And under this Sustainable Development Goal, you can see there are many goals that we have identified. So among them, you can see the some of the Sustainable Development Goals includes poverty, hunger, good health and well-being. It's also related to education, quality, water and sanitation. So what do you look at the important things that come under the sustainable development goals? So these are all socio-economic related. See, Archana, you don't require to remember these things because these are not as if it is asked on a basis that what is the sustainable development goal 9, what is the sustainable development goal 10. You don't expect that kind of question. What do we need to understand that under the sustainable development goals, if any sort of discussion comes, let's say the discussion of poverty comes in, or zero hunger, or good health, or quality education comes in, you can recall and you can understand that yes, it comes under the sustainable development goal 4. Besides that, there is no significance when it comes to cramming this like what do you do with the article 1, article 2 and so on. That is not required. Sometimes when if you have information that is good for mains writing the mains examination, but not having it is not going to disturb you anyway. All right, so if you have, it's a good. If you don't have, that's okay. Only thing that is that you need to remember that what are the very broader areas that are covered under the sustainable development goals. So if you look at the sustainable development goals, we talked about the clean energy as well. Similarly, there is a decent work and economic growth. We also talk about the industry, innovation and infrastructure, It also talks about inequality, sustainable cities, responsible consumption, production, climate action, life on land, life below water, peace, justice, strong institution, and global partnership. So among these sustainable development goals, you can see this, there are 17 sustainable development goals that are mentioned under MDJ. All right. And these are all relevant for, or these are all relevant for our governance. For example, if the government is looking to govern the country, if the government is going to implement the various welfare schemes and other things, so it will have to take into consideration these development goals. All right. So in a way, the sustainable development goal, that is SDG, providing a guidance to the public policy of any country. Okay, so that's how we can understand. And under this one, you can see the climate action is also one of the goal. So there is a climate action. There is also it also talks about the affordable and clean energy as well. So under the sustainable development goals, we can see it has emphasized on on sustainability of the future in the country. So in 2015, 193 countries, they came together and adopted the UN resolution, and this resolution for next 15 years. So they adopted the agenda for sustainable development goals. Under this one, there are 17 goals that you can see on the screen, but then there are some sub goals within these 17 goals. So a total of 169 sub goals are defined under this one, which are supposed to be achieved by the year 2030. So in a way, it gives or provides guidance to the government to carry out sustainable development goals. So in order to carry out that sustainable development goals and track the performance of the country, Niti Aayog has developed a dashboard, and in fact, it is also ranking the states on the basis of their achievement with respect to the sustainable development goals. So you can see on the screen that it has developed the dashboard. It gives ranking to the state on the basis of their performance. So there are various there are various indexes. The weight has been assigned to each indexes, and on the basis of that, the state's performance are measured through this portal. All right. In fact, you can see at the sub-national level, this is the first in the world, which is which is continuously tracking the progress with respect to the sustainable development goal in the state. This was started way back in 2018, and since then it has been continuously done by the Niti Aayog. So under this one, it has been categorized. So the states are categorized on the basis of their score. So if somebody is scoring less than 50, in that case, they need to work. Their performance is still under, they are underperformer. Similarly, there are performer, front runner, and achievers. That is how it has been categorized. Now, what this portal talks about, the India's march towards sustainable development goals, where we are doing well and where we are not able to perform. So when it looks at the overall performance, if you look at India's performance, overall performance, so India has been scored at 66, and at 66, India is in the front runner. So when we talk about the entire India's sustainable development goals, their performance, India stands at front runner according to the Niti Aayog's Sustainable Development Goal India Index. Okay, so India's performance is good, and it stands at 66, which is improvement from the year 2000 to 2019, 20, and 18, 19. Okay, so performance of India has been well on 8 of the 15 sustainable development goals. Overall, it is 17 sustainable development goals. So what are those? In terms of good health, in terms of health, we have performed reasonably well in the last few years. In terms of clean water and sanitation, Nal Se Jal is working perfectly. In fact, good health and well-being, we have the Ayushman scheme that has worked well, and at the same time, vaccination program has also speeded up the country, and that is something which suggests the achievement of India. Similarly, affordable and clean energy, government has done remarkable work with respect to the promotion of solar and wind energy in the country. In fact, we have met the target. When it comes to the renewable energy target, we have already met the target which was set up for 2030. Reduced inequality, though it suggests, but then in the sense that inequality, government of India has distributed various resources, at least the food resources to the people, and that's how it is suggesting. Similarly, sustainable cities, so Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So during in the last few years, we have seen there is an acceleration when it comes to the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. In fact, in this year's budget also, it has been targeted to deliver 80 lakh Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana to the people. In fact, these are among some of the schemes which are performing really well at the ground level, right? So similarly, peace, justice, and strong institution, life on responsible consumption and production. So these, if you look at India's performance is well on track, and in fact, it has already entered into a different category, and the category is known as a front runner category. And according to NSG, according to SG, Sustainable Development Goal India Index. Now, when it comes to the state, now state's performance is you can see on the screen, some of the states have done reasonably well, but you can see it is the Bimaru state again that they are not among the performer. Look at the scores in some of the states in Bimaru states. Look at Bihar. Bihar is still lagging with 52, Jharkhand 56, and Assam with 57. In fact, if you look at at one point of time in 2019, so what do we see? Progress from here to here. You can see the progress. There is a progress when it comes to Maharashtra. There is a progress when it comes to Gujarat. In 2019, both Gujarat and Maharashtra could not progress. In fact, their progress, they are rightly on their target. And in fact, you can see Tripura has also done. Tripura and Mizoram has done reasonably well. There is also Sikkim, that Sikkim was already performing, but some of the border states. Now, more importantly, you look at the Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, that since they have become union territories, the performance on these indicators have gone up. Punjab was already there, so Punjab is also included. Now you can see the Uttarakhand also. No, Punjab was not there. It is Himachal Pradesh that was there. Now Punjab, Haryana, and Himachal Pradesh are also performing today. So if you look at among the performer and somebody which can be defined in the front runner category, you can see they are the front runner. Kerala is among the front runner. Similarly, Tamil Nadu and Himachal Pradesh. These are top three performer. When it comes to the laggard states, so the Bimaru states are still in that range. Okay, so Bimaru stands for Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan, and another one is Uttar Pradesh. The same states are there, and in fact, some of the states that were created from these states, such as Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, are also lagging. The only state which was separated from Uttar Pradesh, that is Uttarakhand, is performing well. Okay, so this is what we can see. Some performance of the state. Union territories, of course, the union territories are in the front runner categories. Most importantly, performance of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh has gone very up, since it is directly regulated or directly controlled by the Union Home Ministry. You can see the performance has gone up, so that they are aligned with the central government, the general government's status. Okay, so this is what about the union territories. When it comes to the performance of northeastern states, so here you can see some of the districts are performing well, but some of the districts are lagging behind. So entire Meghalaya, in Meghalaya you can see they are not performing well. Nagaland is also not performing well. Some of the district in Arunachal Pradesh is not doing well. Other than that, they are reasonably performing well. So that's the status of the northeastern states in the country when it comes to the performance as per the Niti Aayog Sustainable Development Index. Now, let us talk about the status of environment. Now, when we talk about the environment, we will talk about the three things: land, air, and water. So we will look at the land, air, and water. So the resources, land resources, what are the, how do we utilize the air resources and also the water resources. So the first thing is about the land forest. Recently, we have also looked at the land survey that was carried out of late, but here we will look at some of the performing states, how they are performing in terms of land forest. So here it is important to discuss the forest area cover. There is a difference between the forest area, okay, and the forest cover. So there is a difference between the forest area and the forest cover. Forest area is something which is notified in the Gazette. Okay, these are recorded forest area. So they are recorded as a forest in the government records. Forest cover comprises all those lands, okay, specifically more than 1 hectare in area with a tree canopy density. If it is more than 10% density, tree canopy density, so that can be regarded as a forest cover. Okay, so forest cover not necessarily is the forest area. Forest area, when you find the dense forest area, all right, so it is something which is regarded as a forest, which is categorized as forest. Forest cover is something where you don't see the tree canopy so much. There are sporadic in nature. The trees are sporadic in nature. So if we found at least in a hectare land, if the tree canopy is spreaded more than 10% of the land, it can be regarded as a forest cover. So on the basis of their tree canopy, it can be regarded as it can be categorized into different. All right, so we will look at, so that's the difference between the tree canopy, the forest area and forest cover. Both are not same. Okay, and when it comes to the forest cover, they are not recorded as a forest area, and therefore they can include the orchards, bamboo plantation, palm plantation, and so on under this one. So that is the forest cover. That's the difference that we need. Now let us look at India's standing among the world. Okay, it's a global ranking. So if you look at the global ranking, India is among the top 10 countries which has which has a highest forest area. So in absolute terms, if you look at in absolute terms, so if you look at in absolute terms, you will find the Russia. Okay, Russia is at the top. Russia is a bigger country, and large part of the Russia is forested. Okay, so therefore Russia comes at the top. Brazil is the second. Canada. These are the bigger countries. All right, so they have a huge tract of land under them. So that's why you can see these are among the top. So among the top country, you can see It's the Russia, Brazil, Canada, USA, China, and of course the Australia. All right. So these are the bigger countries where you will see they have in absolute terms they have forest cover. India at least comes at the 10th place where it has the forest cover. All right. So this can be an important question. So which of the question can be asked in the form of that uh, which are the following countries can be counted among the top 10 for countries in terms of forest cover, okay, or in terms of forest area. So if you look at the forest in terms of forest area, so India is at 10th. So that is the information that we need. And here is in the form of, it is an absolute form. Now, if you look at percentage form, okay, so here the data is given. Now, it is important that, you know, if you look at how much area is covered under the percentage of the country under the forest area. So if you look at in this way also, you will see it is the Brazil 59% of its area is is a forest area, okay, 59, which is equivalent to 12% of the total area in the world, total forest area in the world. Okay, so that is what I was suggesting. So when it comes to the total forest area, you can see that it is the Russia, Brazil, and so on that comes in. But when it comes to that, out of total area that they covered, okay, out of the total land they have, out of that, how much how much area is a forest area? All right. So in Brazil, you can see out of total, it's a 59%, which is under the forest cover. So only 41%, okay, there are other things, but in 59%, the forest is covered. Peru comes second, where 57% of the total area comes under the forest area. Now, remember here, out of total, in absolute terms, the total area can be less, but out of the total area, most of the area is covered, okay, most of covered through the forest, covered under the forest, then it can be reflected in this way. So it is in the percentage form. So the Peru comes second, Democratic Republic Congo comes third, and Russia comes fourth. So basically, if you look at, there are four major countries in the world. Okay, there are four major countries in the world in which more than 50% area are the forest area. Okay, so these are the four important countries where you can see that they are covered with the forest. Okay, 50%, more than 50% of area is covered with the forest. Indonesia just comes next. But when it comes to India's total forest area. So if you look at India's out of the total area, 24% is the forest coverage in the country. 24%, which is at least better than 23%. You can understand from the fact that South Asia, and in fact the Asia, you don't see the Western Asian countries under the forest area. Why? Because Asia, you can see there are huge number of population in the country, and that's why the population are reside the land are used for agriculture purposes and so on. So therefore the forest has been, there is a decline of the forest coverage in those areas. All right, so that's what you can see. It reflects the one thing here you need to remember, that India's ranking, or India has a 24% out of the total 24% under the forest cover or forest area, whereas China stands as 23%. Among the world, if you look at India accounts 2% of the world's forest area, whereas highest is of course Russia So Russia accounts 20% of the world's forest area, whereas India accounts 2% of the world's forest area, whereas China accounts 5% of the world's forest area. Okay, so that's what you can see when it comes to percentage form. There are countries which under it it suggests that which of the countries have gained in last 10 years. So among the countries which have gained significantly, you can see India is also one of the country where it has gained the forest area. So it has almost gained 266,000 hectare of forest area in the country. So that's a good sign for a climate change perspective. Since there is a climate change, there is a need for forestation in the country. So there is a need for reforestation and forestation in the country. So in fact, India is claiming, in fact, it's a forest. So continuously the forest area has increased in the last 10 years. So improvement can be seen that India has gained 266,000 hectare land. But most it is China. The remarkable story is, of course, about China. In the last 10 years, China has done reasonably well, and in fact, it has done remarkably well, where you can see it has gained it has gained almost more than almost 2 million hectares. 2 million hectares. Okay, so 2 million hectares forest has been increased in China. So that is a remarkable, and that is where it is suggested that China is doing reasonably well in terms of climate change, and that is how the commitment of China can be seen from increasing the forest cover. At the same time, you can also see that China has done very well in terms of promoting renewable energy in their country. So the fight with the climate change, China is serious with its with its fight against the climate change, and that reflects from the data. Australia has done. Australia is also among the countries which have gained 446,000 hectares, but it is the story of China which has done remarkably well to gain the forest area. So that's there. Here also you can see India is among the top 3 countries which have gained absolute amount of forest area in the last 10 years. India's status can be seen here. So India represents 2% of the total world's forest area, and it has its own 24% coverage. India is among the top 10 countries in terms of forest area. So these are the critical information with respect to India's global standing. Now, if you look at forest cover in India, so there are different kind of forest cover. So as I told you, the forest cover and forest area are not the same thing. When I say forest area, it's a dense forest. So basically, it is regarded as the forest, notified as a forest, whereas a forest cover where the tree canopy depends on the tree canopy. And so therefore it has been defined if all the lands, okay, if the tree canopy density is more than 70%, okay, then it is regarded as a very dense forest. If it is and moderately dense forest, if the tree canopy is between 40 to 70%, that can be regarded as moderately dense forest. And open forest, if the tree cover is in the range of 10 to 40%, tree canopy is the density of tree canopy is in the range of 10 to 40%, that can be regarded as the open forest. So if you look at in terms of India's forest cover, you see that India's forest cover in 2011 total forest cover, India's total forest cover was India's total forest cover was 692, it was a square kilometer. All right, so it's a square kilometer. 6,92,027 square kilometer, which has gone up. Okay, we have seen India has already recovered some of the forest area, and it has gone to 7,13,789 forest cover. So in terms of total forest cover, India has gained. India has also gained in terms of open forest cover. It has also gained in terms of dense forest cover. But the moderately dense forest, okay, so India's moderately dense forest has in fact gone down. So what do you see? So some of the forest, you can see they have converted into the open forest. So some of the moderately dense forest with 40 to 70% canopy might have converted into open forest. So this is something which is we need to pay attention to that. It means that moderately dense forest is converting into open forest, and that's why we can see there is a rise of open forest. All right, so that is something we need to look upon, and we need to work on this one. So that's what you can see. So when it comes to rise in the dense forest cover, so there is a 20% rise in the very dense forest. So some of the areas that have qualified to be called as a very dense forest, because a tree canopy is more than 70%. But moderately dense forest has come down by 4%, whereas the open forest has increased by 7%, and overall it is 3% rise from 2011 to 2020-21. So that's the status of forest cover of India. Here you can see, when we talked about the earlier things, we talked about the forest area. Here the discussion is about the forest cover. So here the question can be asked with related to categorization of the various forest cover. So one is a very dense forest where tree canopy is more than 70%. Moderately dense forest tree canopy is from 40% to 70%, and open forest the tree canopy is less than 40%. So that must be in the range of 10% to 40%. So that's the status. And when it comes to performance, it is the moderately dense forest which have seen a decline. Otherwise, very dense forest has seen the positive, and open forest and the total forest cover has also seen its progress compared to the year 2011. So there's a significant rise. Now within the country, now let us look at the standing of the various states in terms of forest cover. So if you look at the forest cover, total forest cover in the country, so in that case, the total forest cover, in terms of total forest cover, Madhya Pradesh is at the top. Okay, total forest cover. If you look at the total forest cover, Madhya Pradesh is at the top, followed by Andhra Pradesh. Okay, in absolute term. So if you look at in absolute terms, so this is what you can see in absolute term. It is Madhya Pradesh which is highest, and then Arunachal Pradesh 66%, followed by Chhattisgarh, and then Odisha and Maharashtra. So these are this is what you can see in terms of the absolute number. So 77,000 square kilometer area comes under the forest cover in Madhya Pradesh, whereas 66,000 square kilometer area comes under the forest cover in Arunachal Pradesh, and same is the story. 56,000 square kilometer in case of Chhattisgarh, 52 in terms of Odisha and Maharashtra. So that is the status. Now, if you look at, if you want to go, but remember one thing, this one you need to remember because question can be formed from this one. So among the top forest cover countries, you can see it is from Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Maharashtra in absolute number. Now, out of that, you can see, um, very dense forest. Again, when it comes to the performance of the state in terms of very dense forest. So in Madhya Pradesh, even though the forest cover is very high, but you can see there is an open forest. That is the ratio of open forest and the moderately dense forest is high, but that is something which needs to think about. It is when it comes to the dense forest area, it is merely 7%. So when it comes to among these five countries, if you look at, it is the Arunachal Pradesh where you can see very dense forest. So they have a highest dense forest. So 21,000 square kilometer under the very dense forest. So when it comes to the dense forest, Arunachal is at the top, followed by Maharashtra, and then all Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Orissa are at the same level. So that is 7,000 square kilometer. Okay. Now, this is something when it comes to Madhya Pradesh, this is something which we need to look at, and that is where the problem is. Okay. There is no need to go very deep into the issue. Okay, otherwise it would be extremely difficult to recall those things. Okay, remember this one. Which one among which are the following states in the top 5 categories in terms of overall performance? That's only thing that you need to keep in mind. Besides that, just focus on very dense forest. That would be more than sufficient. There is no need to focus on everything that is mentioned in the data. Okay, so many things are there in this data, but we will not going to we will not discuss all these things. Okay, that is not required. So this is with respect to the forest cover in the states. In terms of percentage, so in terms of percentage, okay, so if you look at that will come, which of course all the northeastern states will come under this one. So it is Mizoram, which in which 84% area is covered by the forest cover. All right. So it is followed, Mizoram is followed by Arunachal Pradesh, and then Meghalaya, Manipur, and Nagaland. So that is what you can see. So among, in terms of percentage, it is Mizoram where you can see the highest forest coverage. All right. So out of the total land that Mizoram has, 84% is covered through the forest cover. Right. So that's the status of the top 5 states in percentage form. We have already talked about the top 5 states by very dense forest. We have already seen in this data. So we have seen top 5 states in terms of very dense forest. So it is followed by, it is Arunachal Pradesh. All right. We have seen 21%, and that is in absolute form. So these three work closely in the range of 7, whereas other two, okay, Arunachal Pradesh has the highest, followed by Maharashtra, and then Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh. This is something which is not clear here because it is written 7, 7, 7 in each one. So therefore, it is not clear here. Here, it is clear that in terms of very dense forest, where the tree canopy is more than 70%. Okay, so in terms of that, Arunachal Pradesh is the best performing, and followed by Maharashtra, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh. So that's the ranking. Moderately dense forest. So we need not to go this one. Let us leave this one because we will not be able to do. It will be extremely difficult to have a track of everything. So what we need to look at maximum, you should look at this one total, and then followed by very dense forest. Okay, even I have mentioned it for your convenience. If you want to go through, you can go, but I wouldn't recommend that. Anyway, now this is something which is an additional. Okay, it is we have not discussed as part of the forest cover. When we talked about the forest cover, we have not covered this aspect. All right. So I see there's a difference also. So probably if the question is asked, maybe the question is asked from this part, the forest cover in 7 major cities. So among I don't expect, because it is extremely difficult to recall those things. How many categories of the things that you will recall? What I would suggest you, that you should focus only on the very dense forest and then leave other things. All right, because it is not easy to recall all those things or remember all those things. So why do you work unnecessarily? Just remember the total and the very dense forest. That's enough. Not everything. Forest cover in seven major cities, and if you look at in absolute terms, so of course you can see Delhi is performing well. So here in Delhi, it is 194 square kilometer area that comes under that comes under forest. It is about the forest cover. So 194.2 square kilometer is under the forest cover. So Delhi comes first and followed by Mumbai. Okay, so Mumbai is at the second and followed by Bangalore. Okay, so this may be an important area to cover. Okay, so Delhi is at the top, followed by Mumbai and Bangalore. So Delhi has a good forest cover. In fact, if you look at the growth, that also suggests that it has able to see a growth of 11.4%. That's a good. In fact, but the highest growth has been achieved by Hyderabad, where you can see the growth is 146.8%. Okay, compared to 2011, in Hyderabad, you can see the growth is 146.8%. Now, with regard to Kolkata, status of Kolkata is absolutely low. So it is the city where the forest coverage is at extremely low. So in fact, in 2011, the forest coverage was 2.5 square kilometer. Now it has gone down to 1.8 square kilometer. That is something which is a problematic. All right. Of course, the forest. There is a huge forest area after Kolkata. The Sundarban you can see, but that might not that have not been included under this one. So it is basically about the city part. So that's there. The two things that you can see in the data, that in Ahmedabad, the forest cover has gone down from 18 square kilometer to the 9.4 square kilometer. It means the rapid urbanization is going on. Infrastructure is being continuously created. And for the creation of such infrastructure, the tree cut has been done in such cities. Similar is the story with Kolkata also. It has seen 29.8% negative growth. All right. So that's the problem. So these two, and also the Bangalore, of late Bangalore is on the radar, because it is slowly losing its forest cover. In fact, it is also slowly losing its status of a garden city also. Okay, so that's the story of the Bangalore. So this is what we have understood about the forest cover. When it comes to the forest cover, Delhi, among the top 7 cities, Delhi has the highest forest cover, followed by Mumbai. And Mumbai is bound to, because Mumbai is a coastal city. So of course you can expect that it will have a forest cover area. but Delhi is performing reasonably well, and the growth is also good because compared to because of the fact that in it has more areas under this one. If you look at an absolute terms, it has gained more than 20 square kilometer. Okay, so it has gained 20 square kilometer. So that's a good, in fact. Again, this is a composition. I would not advise you to go through this one. Okay, so that's what we have understood about the various data that can be asked about the forest cover. So whatever the data I've suggested, just go through that one only. Rest of the data you can avoid. Now, when it comes to sustainable development and environmental factors, there is a plastic waste management. Okay, so there is a call from the Prime Minister for phasing out the single-use plastic. Okay, in fact, 2018 Prime Minister announced that by 2022 they will phase out the single-use plastic in the country, and for that India has already shown its commitment. And in fact, in order to materialize that commitment, the government has passed the hazardous and other wastes management and transboundary movement rules 2016, and the amendment was done. And under the amended provision, it regulates the import of identified plastic waste into the country by special economic zones and others. All right, so that's the one thing it has been done. There is also regulation has been done so that the dumping cannot be done in the country. So dumping of the plastic wastes are not should not be done in the country. So for that, the regulation has been done, and what it allows for recycling of plastic waste generated in the country. Okay, so in fact, India has already piloted a resolution on addressing single-use plastic product pollution, and this was already adopted by the fourth United Nations Environment Assembly in 2019. So this is under the pilot project. So with respect to reducing the pollution, reducing the single-use plastic pollution, the government has made effort. Hazardous and other waste rules have been amended. At the same time, there are some domestic regulations have been adopted. So plastic waste management amendment rules 2021. Okay, plastic waste management rules 2021 prohibits the prohibits identified single-use plastic items. By, in fact, it has suggested for its lower utility by 2021. So here it is also suggested that thickness of the plastic bags, which should be increased from 50 macrons to 75 macrons. Okay, so that is also changed now. That has also been done. So that's another thing. Also, the government has think about extended producer responsibility. So as part of the extended producer responsibility of the producer under the plastic waste management rules 2016, it has mentioned that the collection and management of those products will be responsibility of the producer. In fact, the producer responsibility, the guidelines for extended producer responsibility given legal force for the plastic waste management rules 2021 for effective implementation. So that's what you can see when it comes to the domestic regulation. Apart from that, government has also worked on creation of waste management infrastructure. So in order to create waste management infrastructure, that has been strengthened under the Swachh Bharat mission. So more specifically, SBA 2.0 Under the SBA 2.0, waste management infrastructure has been created in different parts of the country. In fact, the government has constituted a special task force, which will be, which will be suggesting for effective implementation of plastic waste management rules. In fact, the government has also asked for every state to come out with a comprehensive action plan for phasing out of the single use plastic. They are also expected to have a task force. So every state will have to set up a task force for elimination of or phasing out of the single use plastics in the country. Similarly, national task force have been constituted under the Ministry of Environment and Forest that will also aim at effective implementation of plastic and waste management rules. There is, apart from that, the government has also gone for awareness generation program, right? So these are the various efforts made by the government to reduce the plastic waste management in the country. Okay, and in fact, more importantly, the single use plastic, because we have seen the single use plastics are environmentally, they are causing great danger to the environment, and more specifically there are the animals who took this single use plastics, and that is something their sustainability get up. In fact, they face the challenges. This is also a health hazards for various people. Similar kind of situation that you can see in the coastal areas and the rivers also. So that's how the single use plastic is something which is considered as a as pollution, and as something which is polluting the environment. And therefore a call has been made by the Prime Minister in 2018 to phase out the single use plastic by 2022. Now, with regards to water, what are the facilities, what are the initiatives have been taken by the government of India with regards to providing facility for water in the country? Now, let us first talk about the groundwater assessment. If you look at the groundwater assessment, this assessment is done by the Central Groundwater Board. So this is done by the Central Groundwater Board, and after a periodic interval, it is done. And this is compiled by Dynamic Groundwater Resources of India, and they have made assessment with regards to the groundwater in the year 2004, 9, 11, 13, 17, and 2022. 2020. What it suggests? It suggests that what is the groundwater situation in the country. So if you look at the groundwater situation in the country, so groundwater, the situation, it has, in the year 2020, the groundwater situation is it has come down from 2017. So in 2017, the groundwater annual groundwater recharge and annual water extraction. So what do you see? The extraction was if you look at the ground, there is groundwater assessment. So BCM groundwater, it is talking about the groundwater extraction. So 62% groundwater extraction is done in the year 2020, which is close to 2013 and also 2010, 11. So what do we see? The groundwater extraction is same in the last 10 years. So it is at the 62 level at this point of time. In 2004, you can see the groundwater extraction stands at 58%. Okay, so that is what the change you can see. So if the availability of water is 100, out of that 100, 62% of the water is extracted. That is what the groundwater extraction. Annual extractable groundwater. So that annual groundwater extractable, you can see here, it stands. Okay. So here what we need to keep in mind, that the extraction is being done. So annual groundwater extraction is 62% at this point of time. That is what it is reflected under this particular in this particular data. And now what is important, that if the groundwater extraction is below 70%, then it is a safe. So it has been categorized on the basis of extraction, what it is done. So if you look at the extraction in India, it is in the safe range. So what the annual groundwater extraction is done, so extraction stands at 62% in the country, which is below 70%. So therefore it is in the safe category. But if the groundwater extraction goes to 100%, then it's a critical, and we will see in the data in some of the state, we can see the criticality has increased. And in some of the states, when it is overexploited, then it can create it can affect the soil quality in that state. And if you look at this one is the status of India. And if you look at some of the states where groundwater extraction is very high, so groundwater extraction is very high, of course, in the states Punjab, Punjab, Haryana, and this is Rajasthan. Rajasthan, since the availability is low and therefore extraction is very high. You can see some of the region in Gujarat also, Kutch region of Gujarat, and here you can see some of the areas in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, where water extraction is comparatively higher, which is overexploited. So here, overexploited in the sense that the groundwater extraction is higher than annual replenishable. Okay, so that's the situation that you can see in some of the states. Whereas most of part of the country you can see is uh, where the extraction is less. Okay, extraction is less than 70%, and that's how the major part of the tree you can see are in the safe zone. Whereas a semi-critical, some of the areas, again, the agricultural areas, you can see there, you will see the extraction is going up. Like you can see the western Uttar Pradesh, this is considered as a semi-critical area. Similarly, if you look at the Madhya Pradesh region also, you can see the semi-critical region. Similarly, in Maharashtra also, semi-critical region is growing, right? There are some critical areas, but these critical areas are some of the part of the country, but major part of the country is in the safe, where extraction is less than 70%. Yes, yes, absolutely. It means the availability of water, groundwater, will keep reducing. The quality of water, the quality of soil will get affected. The salinity, the element of salinity in the soil will keep rising as a result of this. Okay, so that's the status that you can see with respect to the water availability and groundwater recharge situation in the country. The one thing that you can find out, some of the states where the forest cover is reasonably well, these states are performing well when it comes to the groundwater situation. Okay, so where the forest is very high, so that states are performing well. For example, if you look at northeastern states, you can see the groundwater extraction is less than 70%. Similarly, you can see some in these states there the groundwater extraction is comparatively lower. That's what you can see. Okay, so that's now what is important here to look at, that when it comes to the safe means what, the stage of extraction. So that is something where you can see the extraction level. Okay, so extraction level was 71% at one point of time in 2004. So it was under the safe category. Now the safe zone of the country is continuously dwindling. Okay, so at one point of time, 71% was in the safe areas, but now it has come down to 64% only. So that's the change that you can see in the data. Now, excuse me for a moment. Okay. So that is what about the groundwater. Now, the reservoir capacity, that is something, the capacity at full reservoir level. So if you look at the reservoir capacity, uh, what happens in our country, the one thing that most of the reserves get full when during the rainy season. So during the monsoon season, because we receive highest rainfall during the monsoon season in the country. So more reservoir are at the full capacity during during the rainy season, and then you can see it goes down as we arrive to the summer. Okay, so that's the status. You can see during the January. Okay, it it goes down. So it start from June, sorry. So during June, July, it keep on rising, and then it goes down. So currently, if you look at the current year status, that's here, and that is that is in the same way that we had earlier. Okay, so if you look at the current year's performance, the current year performance stands at this level, so which is higher than the previous year, which shows the availability of water is good in the country, and that is a good sign for agriculture season. All right, so we expect that this year also the agriculture will remain viable in the agriculture will remain vibrant in the country, so we can go for we can go for we can depend on better agriculture season for the next year. That's what it suggests with related to uh, reservoir. Now, with regard to this river, because river is something which contributes at a great level for increasing the irrigation system in the country. Most of the rivers, India has some of the rivers which are perennial in nature, but most of the rivers are seasonal. Okay, so especially in South India, you will see the most of the rivers are seasonal in nature, and this is the reason why waterways is not very successful in the country. We don't have waterways connectivity in the country because these are largely seasonal. Some of the rivers are perennial in nature. Most importantly, the rivers which are flowing from Himalaya, these are perennial in nature. You can see the water even in those river. The availability of water gets down as we move from the rainy season to the summer season. But among them, the one river that is very important, that is a Ganga river. And if you look at the Ganga river's basin, it is the largest river basin in the country, which covers almost one quarter of the land area of the country, and it hosts 43% of its population, and it contributes 28% of India's water resources in the country. In the sense that Ganga River is extremely important for the country. In fact, it is a lifeline for entire northern part of the country. Okay, and therefore the government has also recognized this fact, and time and again rejuvenation of the Ganga River has already been has been done by the successive government. Recently, a new project that is known as a Namami Gange mission has been started in 2014, which is something which is integrated and multi-sectoral mission for conservation of Ganga and its tributaries. Multiple approach has been adopted under the Namami Gange mission. So the aim of the Namami Gange mission is to protect, conserve, and rejuvenate the Ganga River basin. So it is a basin approach. So it is not only about the Ganga River water, but also talks about the river basin. In the sense, it is targeting the tributaries of the Ganga River as well. So this was initially aimed at, initial outlay was done 20,000 crore rupees, and it has brought under the Environment Protection Act 1986. The National Mission on Clean Ganga was notified, and then today the Environment Protection Act. Today, the National Mission for Clean Ganga is the nodal agency for responsible and monitoring of the Namami Gange mission. So what are the various activities? There are mainly 4 pillars of the Namami Gange mission. One is about the Nirmal Ganga. So basically, the river water. So it aims at reducing the pollution of the river water and ensuring the flow of the river water in the country. There is also a viral flow, means the continuous flow. So the polluted items, the polluted items will be removed from Ganga. And the third is Jan Ganga, so people river connect. So it aims to the project is not the government oriented and top down approach. Rather, the people support is expected to implement this project. And at the same time, there is a Gyan Ganga. Okay, so the Gyan Ganga is something which aims at enhancing ensuring research and knowledge management with respect to Ganga. So Namami Gange mission has a 4 pillar: Nirmal Ganga, Aviral Flow, Jan Ganga, Gyan Ganga. So for that, the number of projects have been approved, and in fact, the project worth, okay, initially it was targeted 20,000 crore rupees, but total outlay is to the tune of 30,000 for 841 30,841 crores have been sanctioned under the mission. Okay, what are the steps taken by the government of India in order to ensure that Nirmal Ganga, okay, so that the water is purified? So the sewerage system that are there in various cities, the sewerage improvement has been done. For the government of India has sanctioned to improve the sewerage system in the country, and the sewerage, all the sewerage which are flowing to which are drained into the river Ganga. Similarly, regular monitoring of the grossly polluting industry along the river Ganga has also been done. As a result of this, the effluent which is the discharge in the Ganga has also come down, and also the compliance state has gone up. Okay. Similarly, in order to ensure the continuous flow of Ganga river, you can see the minimum flow of Ganga has been mandated. For that, the afforestation has already done, and afforestation of 29,000 hectare land has been done, so that no obstruction can be created on the bank of the Ganga river. That is done. In fact, in this budget, the government of India has picked up the Ganga bed. Okay, so the in order to promote the natural farming along the Ganga river, so that is something which will be done by the government this year. So in order to carry out the natural farming, that will be done along the river Ganga. So that is a that's the kind of steps that the government of India has done. It will also, it has also done the river biodiversity assessment, identification of 279 wetlands for conservation, and integrated management plan for 118 wetlands have been done in order to ensure the continuous flow of water in the river Ganga. With respect to the People River Connect, the Ganga Quest 2021 has been organized. Similarly, Ganga Utsav 2021 is something which has been organized in order to ensure river festival. River City Alliance has been launched in 2021. So these are the various steps. Gyan Ganga, in order to enhance the research and knowledge management, the Ganga Knowledge centers set up to support NMCG, Namami Gange mission. Center for Ganga Management and Study has been set up at IIT Kanpur. Okay, because the Ganga river goes through the Kanpur, and we have seen the huge amount of water is discharged, huge amount of effluent is discharged in the river Ganga along the industrial towns such as Lucknow and such as Kanpur. Right, so that's why it is at the center. And in fact, the government has set up the Center for Ganga Management and Study at the IIT Kanpur itself. So these are the various steps with regard to the Namami Gange. Now let us move on to understand the air. When it comes to the air pollution, the government of India has taken several steps. So it has already started in 2019 the National Clean Air Program. Objective was to improve the air pollution, and for that the comprehensive efforts should be done. So tackling the air pollution problem in a comprehensive manner was visualized under the National Clean Air Program. It also aimed to achieve 20 to 30% reduction in the particulate matter. Remember, it is the particulate matter whose ratio has gone up. If you look at PMI in various cities, more specifically in Delhi's pollution, the PMI has gone up. Okay, particulate matter has gone up, and that is what the concentration of PM, that is particulate matter, has been tried to address. And it is expected that by 2024, under the National Clean Air Program, 20 to 30% reduction will be achieved under the particulate matter, of course on the basis of base year 2017. It has already been implemented in 123 cities, and among the 132 cities, 34 cities are million plus cities. Okay, and that has been the million plus cities which have been identified by the Finance Commission, 15th Finance Commission. And there are also other apart from that, there are 8 other million plus cities that have been that are also receiving grants under the National Clean Air Program. So what are the various steps that the government of India has taken when it comes to addressing the issue of clean air? So in terms of vehicular emission, so we have already shifted from BS4 to BS6 without even going to BS5. Okay, so that's the one thing. So that BS is a standard. Okay, this is a standard for car pollution. So vehicle pollution, that is where we have made the change. Similarly, there is a rapid rapid progress when it comes to the metro rail network. I believe at this point of time, the 29 cities are constructing the metro rail network, because metro rail network greatly helps in reducing the pollution, because it helps in the movement, it helps in public transport. So public transport, more the public transport, less the expectation one can expect. At the same time, the promotion of CNG, LPG, and ethanol blending has also been done in the country. In fact, the government has targeted that by 2025, it will be able to achieve the target of 20% blending. Okay. In fact, in this year budget also, it was it is also expected that by 2022, India will be able to achieve 10% blending in oil, ethanol blending in oil. It is in this thought process, the government in this budget has, is going to charge extra money on the fuel which are not ethanol blending. All right. So if it is not 10% ethanol blending petrol, in that case, the extra charge will be imposed on such petrol. So that is what the government of India is doing. Similarly, the same scheme has also been launched by the government. Industrial emission, when it comes to industrial emission, you can see the stringent emission norms for coal-based thermal power plant is being done by the government. In fact, the government has already made a plan for phasing out of thermal power plant from the country. So that's the one step already been taken. There is also a ban imposed on the imported petcoke. Online continuous emission monitoring devices have been installed in various highly polluting industries. And 6, air pollution due to dust and burning of the waste. For that, six waste management rules covering solid waste, plastic waste, e-waste, biomedical waste, construction and demolition waste, and hazardous waste. Okay, so it already covers these waste. Producer responsibility has been extended to the plastic and e-waste management. We have just discussed this one. And there is also ban on burning of biomass and garbage. So these are the various provisions that have been taken by the government. Monitoring of the air quality, expansion of air quality monitoring network has been done under the scheme National Air Monitoring Program. And air quality warning system has been installed in some of the cities like Delhi, Kanpur, and Lucknow. So these are the various steps that have been taken in order to deal with the particular problem in the country. Now, as a result of these key initiatives that have been taken by the government, what do we see that, the result of it can be seen in terms of, in terms of 1996 cities showing a decreasing trend of particulate matter, okay, PM10 concentration compared to 2019-20. There is also a number of cities within the prescribed national ambient air quality standards have also increased from 18 to 27. However, there are something which a concerning issue is that in 36 cities we can see the PM10 concentration has gone up compared to 2019-20. Okay, so that is something which is problematic. What with respect to air quality of Delhi, so here you can see the PM concentration has gone down with the figure that is mentioned. Yeah, look at the average annual air quality index in Delhi in the year 2016 to 2021. So India, so it's a satisfactory level. If you look at the standard is continuously increasing. So that's the status of the average annual air quality index in Delhi. So that's what suggests that it has improved. Now, with regard to the climate change, this is something very important. So with regard to the climate change, India has already adopted various plans. And as for the plan, it is already going on. At the same time, at the Glasgow Agreement that was organized this year, the government has and the Prime Minister has announced India to be a carbon neutral by 2070. So therefore, important targets have been set up by the country. Let us look at what are the various efforts made by the government with respect to the climate change. So the one program that was initiated in 2008 itself, and the plan was National Action Plan on Climate Change. So NAPCC. Under this one, 8 national missions have been identified, and the work is going on those. Let us look at how we progressed when it comes to national action plan on climate change. So within the national action plan, we have 8 national missions. Let us look at the progress related to this. At the same time, we should also know about the various component of national action plan on climate change. Okay, so there are mainly 8 component. What are those? National solar mission, national mission for enhanced energy efficiency, national mission for green India, national mission on sustainable habitat, national water mission, national mission on sustainable agriculture, national mission on sustaining Himalayan ecosystem, and national mission on strategic knowledge for climate change. So these are the various these are the 8 missions that have been implemented under the national mission for climate change. So national solar mission, that is the first. So India has set a target. Okay, it set up a target of 100 gigawatt of solar power project in the next 7 years, starting from 2014-15. So new target was set up in 2014-15 that India will achieve 100 gigawatt of solar power project, and we by as of now, by the end of December 2021, we could achieve a solar power capacity of 49.3 gigawatts. So installed capacity at this point of time is already half. We believe it by the year 2022, okay, 21-22, we expect to increase it 100 gigawatt, but we could achieve it. So far we are on the halfway mark. So we expect to extension or postponement of this objective. We will set another target, we'll revise the target, and we'll set probably 2030. By then we probably get more gigawatt of solar power energy. In fact, now what we see that solar power capacity is being it is getting the finance. In fact, this year also the government of India has started the green bond. So under the green bond, the government is targeting to enhance the solar or such renewable project in the country which are required to have finance. So that will in fact probably increase the solar power production in the country. Okay. Another project is National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency. Of course, we have done reasonably well when it comes to the National Mission of Enhanced Energy Efficiency. So it aims to it aims to reduce the energy consumption in large energy consumer industry. It also aims for financing for PPP to reduce energy consumption through demand side management program. It also aims to incentivize energy incentives by reducing taxes on energy efficient appliances. In fact, the government has done reasonably well in terms of bringing energy efficiency in the country. There are LED bulbs which have been distributed at a large scale in the country. Similarly, now the government has also focused on other appliances such as LED fan and so on. So that will also help in increasing the efficiency, energy efficiency in the country. So when it comes to annual energy saving, we have annual energy saving of 8.67 million ton of oil equivalent energy saving in the country. In the pact cycle 1, In PAT cycle 2, that was started in 2016-17, 1408 million ton of oil equivalent energy we could save. Now the PAT 3, the result of PAT 3 is awaited, and PAT 4 is already under implementation. So we are growing, and we are able to save a huge amount of energy by making various efforts to ensure energy efficiency in the country. There is also National Mission for Green India. So for that, the target is for improved ecosystem services, or by increasing forest or tree cover by 5 million hectare. Okay, so objective is to increase the forest cover by 5 million hectare, and improving the quality of forest cover by another 5 million hectare. Means what? The dense, instead of open forest, it will focus on moderately dense forest and converting that into the very dense forest. That is what it is expected, and the result of it can be seen in terms of afforestation. So we could achieve the target of 1,17,757 hectare. All right, so it's a mammoth task we have taken up. We hope it will we will be able to achieve it in few years. National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. For that, sustainable habitat standards will be promoted in the country. At the same time, the government will also focus on urban planning, through which they will try to save or try to focus on energy conservation. That there is also provision for enforcement of automotive fuel economy standards, and at the same time encourage the purchase of efficient vehicles. Okay, and this is the reason BS 6 have been adopted by the government instead of going to BS 5. So for that, the government of India has already started the programs such as Atal Mission on Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, Swachh Bharat Mission, and Smart City Mission. Under Smart City Mission, the Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework has been launched, and Urban Swachh Bharat Mission will be implemented to ensure National Mission on Habitat, the objectives under the National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. Energy Conservation Building Rules 2018 have been made mandatory for commercial buildings. National Water Mission, it aims at monitoring of groundwater, aquifer mapping, capacity building, and water quality monitoring in the country. It also aims at shifting the attention on overexploited areas. So we have already seen the overexploited areas in the country, more importantly, overexploited groundwater areas in the country. So what is the development with respect to the National Water Mission? We have created 15,640 groundwater observation wells, and it is being monitored by the Central Groundwater Board. And in fact, 5 states have completed the first stage of state-specific action for the water sector. So that's what it is being done. National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture aims at enhancing food security by making agriculture sector more productive and climate resilient. So what we have done, we have focused on national innovation on climate resilient agriculture, and that is a network project which is being promoted by Indian Council of Agriculture Research. With regard to National Mission on Sustaining Himalayan Studies, they are glaciologists. They are being trained under this Indo-Swiss Capacity Building Program in glaciology. There is an inter-university consortium of 4 universities that is created, and at the same time, the glacial lake outburst floods research and development studies have been conducted for Sikkim. That's there with respect to the National Mission for Sustaining Himalayan Ecosystem. National Mission on Strategic Knowledge Climate Change. So state climate change cells have been established in 11 Himalayan states, and 6 lead institutions now conduct training on climate change science. Okay, and also on adaptation and the impact of the climate change. So that's the progress with related to the national with related to the national action plan on climate change. So under this one, 8 missions are there, and such question can be asked in the mains examination also and the prelims also. This is the progress we have achieved with respect to these submission under national action plan on climate change. But this is not the only program that we have started. There are many other programs that we have started with respect to the climate change, and this is something which is very important. We'll keep on discussing on this one. But before moving further, we will take a short break of 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, we will discuss the rest of the things related to the chapter. Any question from your side? Okay, it is fair to take a break now. Okay, let's take a small break. We will meet at 7:48 to discuss the rest of the things. Thank you. Welcome back to everyone. So some of the programs which are some of our other programs that have been launched is Climate Change Action Program. So Climate Change Action Program is something which aims to which has been which is a central sector scheme, and it was launched in 2014. Duration was for 5 years, so initially it has been extended to 25-26 now. Under this plan, the objective is to or it has a broad eight broad components, which includes national action plan on climate change coordination, similarly coordination with other institutions as well, whether it is long-term ecological observations, international negotiation, and capacity building. So that is another program that has been started. Apart from that, the government has also gone for adaptation, creation of adaptation fund on the climate change. So NAPCC, National Action Plan on Climate Change, the NAFCC, National Adaptation Fund on Climate Change. So in order to deal with that, the adaptation plan has been visualized in the domestic level, and it has been launched in 2015. It focuses on climate sensitive sectors such as agriculture, water, forestry, and allow the people to adapt to the circumstances, adapt to the new circumstances, that how the agriculture sector, let's say, will be climate resilient and climate resistance product adaptation is something which is dealt through National Adaptation Fund on Climate Change. Some of the mission which has recently started by the government, and among them is, of course, National Hydrogen Mission. The government has already started the National Hydrogen Mission. We have already discussed this in the classroom as well. So hydrogen is something which is considered as a more efficient, and in fact, once it can be used for transportation fuel, and also can be utilized for industrial input to refineries. Why? Because the solar power and wind energy power are not so intense, so intensity is not so high. It is hydrogen which can ensure, because the industrial inputs or industrial houses or industrial units require more intensive more intensive power. So therefore that is available through hydrogen. So government has already started promoting National Hydrogen Mission, and it has there are already the players in the market that they are visualizing for creation of hydrogen energy in the country. Reliance has already started working on hydrogen energy. Similarly, Adani has also started working on hydrogen energy. So that is considered as a future of energy. So we will start a National Hydrogen Mission as well. Apart from that, the government has also pushed for ethanol blending, and this is not the first time. So it has been already started. In fact, it is targeted that by 2025, India will achieve a 20% ethanol blending. This will greatly help not only in saving the money which we do in terms of oil. So we will be able to save 20% money in the import of oil. At the same time, it will also efficient and the climate. It is something which will help in releasing less emissions on the climate. So that's what the government has promoted, and in fact, we have already reached to 8.5% ethanol blending, and the target is there. This year, by October, it is expected that every company will have to ensure 10% ethanol blending. That is the target. So by 2021, the target is for 10%. So it is expected that by after October 2022, If a company has not blended the ethanol, 10% ethanol, then the extra charge will be there, right? So in a way, it can save huge amount of money for the government to the tune of USD for $4 billion foreign exchange, okay, which we used in terms of importing the importing the oil. At the same time, it will also help in reducing the carbon emission. It will improve the air quality, promote the productive use of the damaged food grains, since the food grains and waste can be utilized for ethanol blending. So in fact, the wastes from the sugarcane can also be utilized for ethanol blending. So in a way, it will again promote the pollution-less society in the country, and the damaged food grains and waste can be utilized for productive purposes. At the same time, it will help in increasing the farmers' income, because now they can, for example, it has incentivized the sugar producer. Okay, sugar cane farmers can sell their residue to for ethanol blending. So that is how it can help in fact generating more income for the farmers. At the same time, it will create employment opportunity and the investment opportunity as well. So government is right on the track when it comes to the ethanol blending. The government has also accepted, in fact, the railways have also accepted the net zero carbon emission. Okay, so by 2030, the railway has set a target to achieve a net zero carbon emission. For that, it is promoting the 100% electrification. So electrification will allow phasing out of the coal for uses of uh, running the Indian Railways. It has also focused on the new phase technologies for head-on generation technologies. Similarly, it has also emphasized on use of renewable energy sources, and at the same time, LED lights for energy efficiency has also been installed at the various railway station. And it the land, it has the various land, so it wants to ensure additional carbon sink by promoting afforestation on the lands which it has available. In fact, on the track, the railway track, besides the railway track, it will utilize this land for creating for foresting that track. So that is how the railway is trying to get the net zero carbon emission. At the same time, the Pradhan Mantri Kusum Yojana has been launched by the government, and the Pradhan Mantri Kusum Yojana is stands for Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Sanrakshan Evam Utthan Mahabhiyan. Okay, so Utthan Mahabhiyan. So it aims at energy and water security. And also it wants to reduce the diesel in the farm sector, and want the farmers to adopt the solar power in the country. So that's what it aims at. So it aims at there are various objectives under this one. So it has mainly three components. One is installation of 10,000 megawatt of decentralized grid connected with the solar power plants. It also aims to set up 20 lakh solar power agriculture pumps. So this is how it will made available to the people, to the agriculturist at a subsidized rate. It also aims at solarization of 15 lakh existing grid connected agriculture pumps. So these are the initiatives that has been taken under the Pradhan Mantri Kusum. So this is not something new program that has been done, but the progress has been achieved under this program, that until the program aims to generate 30.8 gigawatt of solar capacity with the support of 34,000 crore over a period of time. As of now, if you look at the progress, so we see it has created, as of December 30, 2021, 77,000 solar power pump has been created. Solar plants, 25.25 megawatt capacity solar power plants, and 1,026 pumps rise under this program. So this is the progress with respect to the PM Kusum. More importantly, one of the step RBI has taken so that more and more solar power capacity can be installed in the country. So what RBI has done, it has brought the solar power project or the renewable power project under the loans for renewable power projects under the priority sector lending norms. So it will help in availability of finance for the renewable project in the country. So that's the progress with respect to the PM Kusum. At the same time, offshore wind energy policy has been announced by the government. That is also hybrid energy policy. So the under this policy, offshore wind energy, so along the coast in the offshore areas, the wind energy can be promoted, and for that infrastructure support will be provided by the government. And at the same time, wind solar power hybrid policy has also been announced by the government. Under this one, in the single under the single unit, in order to save money, both wind and solar power production unit can be set up. All right. So that's what it has announced by the government. Some of other initiatives are development of solar power, solar parks, and mega solar power projects. Okay. So this one, 50 solar parks have been sanctioned by the government so far. Installed capacity of 3.8 state. It means in the next few days we will see that it will be ramping up the solar power production in the country. We have already achieved the target of almost 50 gigawatt solar power project. Another 50 solar project we will achieve in a few days. Okay, let us continue from there. Okay, so one program is the development of solar parks and ultra mega solar power projects. There is also promotion of rooftop solar program, and phase 2 has been already started. So under this one, 5.87 gigawatt of solar rooftop projects have already been installed. There is a setting up of grid connected solar power project, photovoltaic power projects by government entities, that has also been done. There is also off-grid solar photovoltaic application program for solar streets, solar study lamps, and solar power packs are already unbuilt, have already been unbuilt by the government of India. So these are the major initiatives that the government of India has taken with respect to climate change. So major program, that is one NAPCC, another is NAFCC. There is another climate change action program. There is National Hydrogen Mission, ethanol blending efforts, net zero carbon emission by railways, PM Kusum, offshore wind energy policy, then the wind solar hybrid power policy, apart from the development of solar parks and ultra mega solar power projects, rooftop solar power program, a scheme for setting up 12 megawatt grid connected solar photovoltaic power projects, and off-grid solar photovoltaic application program have been launched by the government of India. So these are the various programs that the government of India has launched in order to ensure, or in order to promote, renewable energy in the country, and ensuring the climate ensuring a fight against the climate change in the country. Right now, last year, the COP26 summit was held in Glasgow, And it was extremely important. Why? Because Prime Minister participated in the event, and in fact announced India's goal to become, India's goal to achieve zero emission by 2017. So therefore, it is important, and this is some of the decisions were taken at the Glasgow. You must have gone through some of the decisions which were taken at the Glasgow. Okay, so under this one, 2-year Glasgow Sharm el Sheikh work program on the global level of adoption has been adopted. There is a Glasgow dialogue between parties were organized. There is also pre-30 ambition was convened to achieve some of the objectives under the climate under the Glasgow summit. So we have already covered this one. I would not like to repeat this one. Now this is India and intended nationally determined contribution. Okay, so India has already set up under in the Paris Agreement. India announced the intended nationally determined contribution. Now, what are the various announcement done by the government under intended nationally determined contribution, and what is the progress so far? So India aimed to reduce the emission intensity by 33 to 35% on the basis by 2030 as compared to 2005 level. Okay, so India aimed to reduce the emission intensity by 33 to 35%, and if you look at the progress, India has already achieved. India reduced emission intensity of its GDP by 24%. That is during the period of 2005 to 16. In fact, this year it has already achieved the emission intensity of 30 to 35%. In fact, 9 years before. Okay, that's the progress that we can see. India also aims to create additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2, and that is by increasing the forest and tree cover by the year 2030. We have seen India is already on the way. In fact, forest cover in the country has gone up. All right, resulting into India has achieved 79.4 million tons of carbon stock. All right, so that is the progress. However, in this one, India's progress can be seen very slow. Why? Because the objective is to achieve 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2. Okay, so additional carbon sinks. So we need to go rapidly for the forest cover, increasing the forest cover in the country. There is also it aims to achieve about 40% of cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel energy resources by 2030. So as per the Central Electricity Authority, as of December 2021, the share of non-fossil sources or in installed capacity of electricity generation has already surpassed the target of 40%. So it is already 9 years before India has already achieved this target. So we are currently at 40.2% when it comes to achieving the energy through non-fossil fuels, or reducing the non-fossil fuel energy resources in the country. All right, so that's what the progress that you can see. India has achieved its progress, and India's progress is it is in advance. It has already achieved its target in advance. So that is how you can see the commitment of India towards the climate change, and the commitment that India has made in order to ensure that it will work enough to ensure to fight with the climate change in the country. So that's the commitment. It is shown by this data. Now, what about the finance for sustainable development? Dealing with the financial risks. So for that, a sustainable finance group, okay, sustainable finance, Reserve Bank of India has created a sustainable finance groups in its Department of Regulation. So this sustainable finance group will aim at coordinating the sustainable finance or climate risk in the country. It will bring the regulatory standard. It will bring coordination and cooperation among the bodies. It will also bring coordination when it comes to the sustainable finance. It has already prepared a consultative discussion paper on regulated entities in managing the climate risk. Okay, so it will develop regarding the climate finance. It will develop the adequate framework to regulate that climate finance in the country. What are the various finance for sustainable development? Task Force on Sustainable Development has been set up by the Department of Economic Affairs so that the framework for sustainable finance can be defined. So under the Department of Economic Affairs, remember this one, this is an important fact. The Task Force on Sustainable Finance has been set up under the Department of Economic Affairs. RBI has joined the Central Bank and Supervisor Network for Greening the Finance System as a member in 2021. At the same time, liberalized external commercial borrowing norms of RBI has also helped Indian renewable energy companies. So now the energy companies can issue the green bonds, okay, in international market, and they can raise more money for financing their renewable energy project. In fact, the government is also trying to postpone. Government will also go for green bonds, issuing of green bonds in the domestic market to finance the sustainable development project in the country, right? So this is how some of the initiatives at the bilateral and global sustainable financial initiative. RBI has become the member of climate-related finance risk set up by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, that is there, and it has also become the member of International Platform on Sustainable Finance. So that's the progress related to the financing for sustainable development. With respect to SEBI has also ensured that business standard. The environment ESG from environment, society, and governance framework. Okay, it has revised the environment, society, and governance related information. So there it wants that the government the companies should be the reporting requirement should be done as per the business responsibility and sustainability report, right? So that, under this one, it wants the top 1,000 listed companies to do a business responsibility and sustainability report, okay, which will replace the business responsibility report. So now what do we see? That the nomenclature has also changed, and under this one it wants the companies to do or publish it on mandatorily basis from the year 2022-23. So initially for the year 21-22 it will be available, so they can adopt it a voluntary basis, but from the next year 2022-23 it will be done on a compulsory basis by the companies. In fact, it will ensure greater transparency through ESG norms by the various companies. Environment, sustainability, and governance related norms. What are the various effort made by the government at the international level? There is a lifestyle for environment. It was proposed by the Prime Minister in 2021. So lifestyle for environment at the COP26 in Glasgow. Lifestyle for environment. What it talks about? It talks about the lifestyle. There is a need to promote a healthy lifestyle or environmentally sustainable lifestyle in a manner that the sectors get benefited. So there's a need to revolutionize and make people aware about the climate related lifestyle. Okay, so that is why you can see it talks about its impact on the various sectors such as fishing, agriculture, wellness, dietary choices, packaging, housing, hospitality, and tourism, clothing, fashion, water management, and energy. So what it talks that a lifestyle for environment campaign, it wants to ensure, it wants to uh, you know it wants to make it a mass campaign for promoting the environment conscious lifestyle. So for that it has been launched. Similarly, the International Solar Alliance, that is already there. The objective of the International Solar Alliance is to promote solar power production in the country, promote solar energy, and also promote cooperation among the various countries in solar production. In fact, at Glasgow, it has launched the joint green grids initiative. That is one one sun, one world, one grid initiatives. Okay, in Glasgow, Prime Minister has launched one sun, one world, one grid initiatives. Objective of it is to create a globally interconnected green grid, which will be built upon the regional grid structure. Okay, so that's what the Prime Minister has suggested. So one sun, one world, one grid initiative aims to create a globally interconnected green grids, and that is based on the regional grid infrastructure. That's what it has been done. The ISA, that is International Solar Alliance, has attained a permanent observer status in United Nations General Assembly. It has already signed a memorandum of understanding with United Nations Framework for Climate Change at COP26 to support ISA membership. All right, so this is there. It is also mandated to facilitate mobilization of $1 trillion in solar investment by 2030. Okay, so for that it aims to scale up the solar energy deployment. It has a three major or three key global issues. One is energy access, another is energy security, and energy transition. So India has a leadership in International Solar Alliance, and it wants the more and more country to join the International Solar Alliance. The objective is to channelize more and more resources, more and more resources through for energy transition, energy security, and energy access to more specifically to the developing and least developed countries. Okay, so that's what the ISO aims at. In fact, the ISA, sorry, supports its membership across four pillars. And what are the four pillars? It provides programmatic support. It also provides capacity building and ecosystem readiness, risk mitigation instruments, and analytics and advocacy. So that is what it is being done by the ISA. At the same time, the disaster resilient infrastructure. So there is another effort at the international level, and that is the international. There is a coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure. Third International Conference on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure was launched by the Prime Minister, and other countries were also participating in this one. Infrastructure for Resilient Island States was launched by Prime Minister of India, UK, Australia, Fiji, Jamaica, and Australia. This is something a dedicated initiative for small island developing countries, and that is there. Similarly, we can see other initiatives where under this one, the government of India has promoted, and in fact, the countries have promoted a network. Okay, so that more and more knowledge resources and collaborative opportunities can be promoted in the disaster resilience, in order to create disaster resilience infrastructure. There is also leadership group for industry transition. So that is known as a lead IT group. Okay, so it has been launched by launched by India and Sweden, and there is a support of World Economic Forum and UN Climate Action Summit, and it was done in 2019 under this one. Joint ministerial statement released at the leadership summit, and which aims to provide the roadmap for deep reduction in emission across all heavy industries and value chains in the coming decade. So lead leadership group for industry transition. So basically, it aims to ensure the transition of industry for reduction of emission in different countries. That is the objective of the leadership group for industry transition. So that is what we see. So India has already made a commitment for net zero emission by 2070. So for that, it is required to bring more and more coverage. It requires to phase out the coal. At the same time, it will have to reduce its dependency on non-fossil fuels. And for that, it has to work more on the wind power energy, renewable energy projects, solar power projects, and other renewable energy projects. For that, it is important that it is able to ensure climate finance to fund that project. At the same time, it is important for India to improve its forest and tree cover so that it can improve the tree cover in the country. That is also one of the ways through which we can in fact enhance the carbon sinking and reduce the carbon emission in the country. So that's what we have talked about, the various things in this chapter. So these are the various provisions of this chapter we can see. Now, the next thing is the agriculture and food management. Okay, this is very important, and we have part of this we have already discussed in our chapter also. So when we look at the agriculture and food management, we look at the various aspects of agriculture and food management. If you look at overall growth in agriculture sector, so it shows a good sign at least. So if you look at agriculture growth in the country during the coronavirus also, it was able to touch 3.6% in 2021, and in 2021-22, you can see its growth is 3.9%. Okay, which is quite healthy in the sense that all the sectors were not working well, but then it is the agriculture sector which performed well, and in fact it rescued the market. We have seen that. So it rescued the Indian economy, and this happened largely because of the fact that because the good monsoon, and we have seen the reservoir its capacity is higher than the previous year. So that's a good thing. So we understood that that monsoon is something critical for India's agriculture. If the monsoon is good, India's agriculture sector performance will also go up, and that is what happened. So India's growth in agriculture sector is largely attributed to the good monsoon, and at the same time the various schemes that have been announced by the government under the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So some of the major initiatives announced by the government was enhancing credit availability, improving investment, create market facilities, promote infrastructure development in agriculture have greatly benefited the sector. At the same time, the growth in livestock and fisheries have helped the sector to perform well. So that is what you can see the contribution. So we will see, in fact, the government has also done the record food grain procurement last year. Now, if you look at the agriculture and allied sectors growth in gross value addition at 2011-12 price, so you will see that there is a significant growth. So that's there. So other sectors, crops, you can see the crop sector, there is a 4% positive growth in 2019-20. So this is the data for till 2019-20. Okay, that its first revised estimates on 29th January 2021 has come. Okay, so what we see, that growth of GVA of agriculture and allied sector, you can see the growth of crops stands at 4%, whereas livestock, that is what we mentioned, that there is a huge growth in livestock sector in the country, fisheries and livestock, and that's where it can achieve. So that's the progress of this GVA of agriculture sector. When we talk about the gross value added in agriculture, you can see the share of agriculture and allied has gone up. Okay, that has gone up to 20.2% in the year 2021. Why it has happened? It has happened because the contribution from the industry went down and contribution from services also went down in the year 2020. That's why what it reflects, the contribution from agriculture remains more or less same, and that's why you can see its contribution looks higher. So its contribution looks at 20.2%. Okay, that's why it reflects. If you look at average, you can see India's average almost remains in the range of 19% of the total GVA. So that is what you can see. So in 2020-21, we can see the GVA of agriculture sector gone up to 20%. Otherwise, it remains more or less in the range of 18%. This was largely because of livestock, fishing, and aquaculture's performance. And in fact, some of the sectors such as dairying, livestock, poultry, fisheries, and horticultures done reasonably well in the market. So that's what you can see. And if you look at this one, you can see the contribution, the crop sector's contribution. Over the year, the crop sector's contribution is going down from 12% to 10.7%. What it reflects? It reflects that there is a diversity increasing in the agriculture sector. Okay, so if you look at the contribution, out of 18%, 12% contribution was from what? Was from the crops. But now, since we have already reached to 20%, okay, in that circumstances, the contribution of crop has in fact gone down, whereas what has increased, it is the livestock whose contribution and is increased in the last 10 years. So from 4% contribution, their contribution has gone up to 5.2%, and that's what is the chapter in the examination. All right, in the mains examination, you will see the livestock is something which is an important chapter, and in the livestock you can see the contribution is going up. So there is a huge potential for livestock sector, and more importantly, livestock is something which helps in food processing sector. So therefore you can see the contribution of this sector is going up, and more probably because this is advanced estimate only, so probably this figure will go further. At the same time, the contribution of fishing and aquaculture is also going up. So you can see it, though it stands at 1.3% in the last year, compare it with the 2011-12, you can see the contribution of fishing and aquaculture and livestock is going on. So it suggests that first, there is a diversification that is going on in agriculture. The second, that livestock, fishing and aquaculture can offer better alternative to the farmer. They can compensate better to the farmer to they can complement better to the farmers to enhance their income. So therefore the government should promote that one, livestock and livestock farming as well, in order to enhance the earning of the population. And that is how, because of the various efforts made by the government, you can see that contribution from livestock and fishing is going up. This is also because of the fact that government has started working on food processing sector. A lot of incentives have been provided for encouraging food incentive sectors in the country, and that's how the progress can be seen. Okay, so this is how it reflects from this data. Investment in agriculture. Now, with related to investment in agriculture, the gross capital formation in agriculture sector. Now, you look at the gross capital formation in agriculture sector. So if you look at the total investment, total gross capital formation in agriculture sector, you can see in 2011-12, the gross capital formation was 18.2%, whereas it is going down. Okay, so instead of increasing the gross capital formation or investment in agriculture sector, the investment in agriculture sector is going down. Okay, so that's the problem. This is the problem. And when the government of India wanted to go for reform, it has to revoke that reform. Okay, so the three farm laws were introduced in order to ensure the agriculture remains free from the clutches of the various problems, and it is liberalized. But and at the same time, we have already talked about that if such laws could have been passed, it at least the one benefit, if it could have been implemented, it could have resulted into higher investment in agriculture sector. Look at the more important is that the private sector investment could have gone up in this one. Okay, in agriculture sector. Now, what about the private and public sector investment? Look at the private sector investment. Here also, private sector investment, you can see 15.9% was there in 2011-12, because during that point of time, there was a lot of discussion regarding the e-commerce, so Reliance and other companies started coming in agriculture sector, resulting into higher investment in agriculture. But again, because of the fluctuation, because of the lack of reform, it went down at one point of time to 12.1%, and then it has started taking place. But it could have gone further, but because we we have already revoked that, it will take some more time to increase the gross capital formation in agriculture sector, increase the investment in agriculture sector. With respect to the public sector, look at, public sector has a limited capacity. Look at today, okay, look at today, any sector in the country, it's not the public investment which is driving the sector, it is the private investment which is driving the sector. So all the sectors are performing well, whereas agriculture is not performing well. The problem is that in agriculture sector, the investment is less, and the private sector are not able to make investment. We cannot depend on the public sector for more investment, because the government has limited scope. It is the private sector which can channelize. Look at the public sector investment. It has remained more or less in the same range, but it is the private sector's contribution which are continuously fluctuating. So that will depend on the agriculture reform. If the reform is done, only then you can see there is a rise. Okay. In fact, investment can be expected in procurement, investment can be expected in warehousing, investment can be expected in the branding, and also the agriculture allied activities. All right. So these are the various areas that are open for investment. The government should speed up the reform process so that more and more investment can be attracted to the agriculture sector. Now, what are the various suggestions which is made for improving the private investment in agriculture sector? The one is, of course, providing the credit at a concessional rate. The government is already providing the credit at a concessional rate. There is already schemes under this one. A concession of 3% is offered to the farmers, okay, and they can get the credit at a lower level. but more distribution of the institutional credit is expected. The greater participation of the private corporate sector could have been, could increase the private sector investment, and that is what I suggested. So if you go for the reform for contract farming, if you provide alternative for procurement, only then the health only when the agri-tech companies will come up, and then you can see the better supply chain in the country. And but this is not happening now. As a result, the agriculture sector has not seen the investment. We will also expect that food processing sector, with the food processing sector, we can see some channelization of resources in agriculture sector. But so far, in absence of reform, the growth is limited in agriculture sector. At the same time, the crowding in of private corporate investment by appropriate policy framework. That is what I suggest. Okay. And whereas the public investment should focus on providing and dealing with the structural problems, such as providing marketing access, creating road network, physical availability of mandis, and so many things. Okay, that is what the public investment can do, whereas reforming the market can be done by the policy frameworks. But somehow we could not implement the 3 farm laws, resulting into the loss for the country. Now, this is what we have discussed. Now, regarding the agriculture production. So yes, in terms of agriculture production, the 4th advanced estimate suggests that India's agriculture production has gone up. In fact, the procurement has also gone up. It has touched to 308.65 million tons, which is 11.15 tons higher than the previous year, that is 2019-20. In fact, the production of rice, wheat, and coarse cereals have increased, and that is what you can see. But the production of other, for example, edible oil has not, the production of edible oil has gone up, but then the major problem is that consumption is very high. Edible oil, the consumption of edible oil is very high in the country, and this is the reason you can see the import has also increased in the country, resulting to higher import bill in the country. So if you look at, India is among the major oilseed producing country, but in fact, oilseed production in India has grown by almost 43% from 2015, 16 to 2021. So compare it with the 2015-16, there is a significant growth. Yet India is importing huge amount of edible oil from country. If you look at the import figure, you can see the import figure is continuously rising. Okay, so import, look at the import, oil import. Okay, so oil production, this is the production. So this is 7.9 million tons, and import of oil, this is import of oil. So import of oil in 2019-20, the data is not given. 2020-21 data is not given. So import of the oil has also gone up. All right. So India is, in fact, the second largest oil consumer and #1 importer of vegetable oil. Despite doing a huge production, and among the big producer, what is happening that India's import of edible oil has gone up because it is the second largest consumer. Similarly, when you see the gold, okay, India is a producer, yet India is importing huge amount of gold. Why it is why there is so much import of the oil in the country, edible oil in the country? Largely because of urbanization. In urbanization, you can see the prosperity of the people has also gone up, resulting to the wide use of the of edible oil in the country. At the same time, the dietary habits of the people, okay, that is also causing demand in the country. Dietary habits, in our dietary habits, you can see we use the edible oils for almost everything. There is also demand for processed items has gone up, largely because, you know, because of largely because of food processing sector. So food processing sector has gone up, demand for processed items has gone up, and that's why the demand for oil is also going up. So again, the rising population is one of the factors, because to meet the demand for rising population, we need to at the same time increase or ramp up the production at the same level. So the major cause of rising vegetable oil import in the country is because of urbanization, dietary habits, change in dietary habits, demand for processed items, and rising population. All right. In fact, this will continue to rise. According to an estimate by Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and Food Agriculture Organization, it has estimated an agricultural outlook for 21 to 2030, and it has projected that India will maintain a high per capita vegetable oil consumption, and therefore there will be a growth of 2.6% per annum consumption of the vegetable oil in the country. So therefore, the demand will continuously rise for vegetable oil. But if we continuously depend on import, this may cause deficit for the country. We are already facing the challenge from other oil. Now the new oil will join to bring or increase the India's current account deficit. So that may create problem. So some of the efforts that government of India has taken, one is that a national food security mission. So oil seed production has been ramped up in under the National Food Security Mission. Under this one, and this scheme was started in 2018-19 in all the districts of the country. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. Under this scheme, the certified seed are distributed by the country, and the production of foundation and certified seed has also been encouraged. At the same time, the high yielding varieties, mini kits, have been distributed by the government. All right. The government has also set up 36 oil seed hubs in order to increase the availability of high yielding quality seed in oil seeds. At the same time, the government has also started the National Mission on Edible Oil, oil palm production in the country. Under this program, the government aims to augment the availability of edible oil in the country by harnessing area expense. So government is also providing price incentives for oil palm production in the country. But what has happened, it is because of India ASEAN Free Trade Act. Okay, India ASEAN Free Trade Act. Okay, because of that, oil palm production has in fact gone down. It has in fact not increased at per expectation, largely because the palm oil production is done by these ASEAN countries such as Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on. So these countries are, they have a specialization. They produce at a larger scale, resulting into reduction of cost, and that's why the import cost is comparatively cheaper than what is available in the domestic market. This year, the price of the oil palm has gone up because of severity, because of lack of rainfall in the palm oil production areas, resulting into higher cost of palm oil at the international level, and that's how it is reflecting in our economy. So anyway, but we have started a mission to increase the oil palm production, and for that the government of India also provide the viability price for protecting the farmers from any fluctuation of international crude palm oil prices. So that is what the effort has been made by the government of India. So that's what you can see, and this is the figure that is suggesting that the production. So production is 2.8. Okay, so production is 2.8 lakh oil palm. Production of oil palm is 2.8 lakh ton, but import is 88.1 0.17. Why it has increased? Largely because of lack of local production, and in fact the production has also you look at the production has not gone up speedily, especially after India signing the free trade agreement with ASEAN countries. Look at our import. Our import has continuously increased, but our production has not gone up. Why? Because the are in uh, producers are in complete disincentives. So that's why they are not they are not producing, resulting to higher import from other countries, especially from South Asian countries. So that is the status of the palm oil production. Now, with respect to the sugarcane production, India has, in fact, in sugar is something which India is producing, and a huge surplus is being created in the country. And look at the data. The consumption of sugar is merely 26.9 million ton in the country, whereas the production is done 32.6%, 32.6 million tons. So huge surplus is being created in the country, resulting into rise of export from our country. And this is where we have heard about the cases. Brazil has already uh, uh, lost protest, and in fact it has it it has protested in WTO. Okay, so it has brought the case in dispute resolution mechanism in WTO. So it has been challenged in WTO. In fact, the sugar industry, if you look at the sugar industry, is the second largest agro-based industry in the country, and that is next to cotton. So cotton is the largest agro-based industry in the country, followed by sugar. It has a huge significance in the country, largely because of the fact it provides livelihood opportunity to the 5 crore population. At the same time, it is the largest consumer and second largest producer of sugar in the world. So India is the largest consumer of sugar, and it is the second largest producer after Brazil. And if you look at the average annual production in India has gone up to 35.5 crore tons. The domestic consumption is estimated to be around 2.6 crore tons in 2021. All right, so we have a huge surplus, and why it has been? It is largely because the fair and remunerative price (FRP) is attractive in the country, and in the last 10 years, if you look at the FRP has almost doubled. Okay, so that's how it has been challenged that the Brazil had challenged that India provides more subsidy for sugar production, and that's why it is competitive at international level. So it distort the price at international level. That is what the acquisition was made by Brazil. Okay. Apart from the fair and remunerative price, state advised price can also be announced by the state, and that is higher than the fair and remunerative price. But more important thing is that apart from that, the government has also launched for blending, okay, ethanol blending. Okay, so in ethanol blending, the residues of the sugar can be utilized, and that also help in increasing the income of the farmers. And that's how you can see the benefit is there for the farmers. At the same time, the can reservation area has also been mandated by the government, because sugar cane is something which loses when it goes to when the procurement is done and when it is purchased by the sugar mills. And if it is far, they will lose the glucose content in this one. So what the government has done, government has defined the cane reservation area. Under this one, it is mandated that the farmers or sugar mills are required to purchase the sugar cane crops within a certain specified radius. All right, so that is there. It is largely because the farmers should not lose the glucose content in this, and that's why it can help them. What are other things that the government of India has done in order to incentivize the mills, and more importantly, to deal with the surplus production? and availability of liquidity of mills. So sugar mills, incentives of sugar mills to divert excess sugar cane to ethanol production. That is what incentivizing them. At the same time, financial assistance is also being provided to transport to sugar mills to facilitate export of sugars. These are the various things that the government of India has done in order to promote sugar production in the country. And that's how the sugar production. This is something which is important for both prelims and mains examination, because this is widely discussed in WTO also. So you must keep in mind that this is something which is important. The data is also important. If you bring the data, that will show, it suggests the significance, and at the same time the various efforts made by the government to increase the sugar production can also be written. So that's the something which is important. Okay, so what we have done, we have started discussion on agriculture. Some of the things that are there with the discussion, but these are small things that we need to discuss. Next time we will discuss the rest of the issue. So we have covered almost two things today. One is the climate change and sustainable development. Second is agriculture. Now what we are left with, the with services and industry, which are very smaller, and I am hopeful by next week I will be able to complete. Okay, so smaller things are left that will be completed by next week. All right, any question from your side? All right, I hope everybody has understood the things. Now with this, let us wrap up today's session. Next week we will discuss the rest of the issue of economics. Thank you.